Welcome to the Help for Leaders podcast. I'm Stacey Harris, and I'm passionate about showing leaders the power of communication and how it can transform their organizations, from Fortune 500 boardrooms all the way to brand new startups. As a leader, your actions and your words transform people and your company culture. So join me as I share tips and insights for elevating your leadership abilities as well as your team's performance. Let's dive right in. Productive, healthy conflict. That's what we're going to be talking about today on the Help for Leaders podcast. Welcome back. I'm Stacey Harris. I'm so glad that you're joining me. When I say conflict, what does that do inside of you? What are you experiencing just with the very word conflict? I'm hoping to reframe conflict and really give you 5 different tips to help you reframe and understand conflict and how it can be healthy and productive. And why do I say healthy and productive? Basically, conflict actually is a normal part of healthy relationships. Did you hear me say that? Conflict, it's a healthy part of relationships. And if we can learn how to do it better, we can absolutely enhance our communication and make big differences in our relationships. So I want you to think of someone that you know very well. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a significant other, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your manager, maybe it's a team member at work. What kind of conversations have you been having that have triggered something inside of you where conflict has come up? I know I'm not the only one that experiences conflict because it is a part of healthy relationships. So I want to give you 5 tips to help you navigate conflict. Number 1, don't avoid it. In fact, if you'll address situations sooner than later, you're going to make a difference early on and actually be able to resolve things faster than if you put it off. In fact, when we have differing opinions, that's a great time to lean into conflict. And that's where great innovation can come about in our relationships. So that's number 1. Don't avoid conflict. I know some of us want to run. In fact, about 50% of the US population avoids conflict. I can be one of those. There are certain situations where I am all in and I will fight to the end and I want to win. And there's certain situations where I'm like, out of here, pick your battles. And that's just who I am. Maybe you're one that's like that as well. So don't avoid conflict. Number 2, reframe it. I want you to rethink conflict. Don't think of it as a negative. Think of it as an opportunity to go deeper. In fact, if we lean into conflict, it's literally an invitation to deepen our relationship with that individual. There is so much opportunity for us to connect with that individual through conflict if we don't avoid it and if we reframe it. I like to say that hidden in every conflict is the potential for tremendous learning and teaching opportunities. That's a different way to think about conflict. Reframe it. That's number 2. Number 3, this is Stephen Covey's 5th habit. And what he says, it is tremendous. I want you to lean into this. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. My mentor used to say, respond, don't react. Listening is a huge part of conflict. You have got to learn how to listen. And let me just tell you something about listening. It's hard work. It's not easy. Actually, for about 30% of people, it's pretty easy. But for the majority of us, it is difficult. And for about 20% of people, it's actually really, really hard. And so understanding, I've got to first listen to the individual, make sure I've got all the information instead of me defending myself or making sure that you know that I'm right and you're wrong. Because so many times that's how we approach conflict. So number 3 is to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Number 4, clarity is kindness. Brene Brown says, clear is kind, and she is so right. Unclear is unkind. Once you have listened and understood the individual that you're having a conflict with, then clarify, clarify, clarify. Make sure that you are being so clear, because that is being kind. I know sometimes we feel like, this is going to hurt the individual. But let me tell you something. If you have built trust in that relationship, then you can actually say the hard things in a way that doesn't tear them down, that actually builds them up and does build strength and trust and depth in that relationship. So that's number 4. Be clear. Kindness is clarity. Okay, and then lastly, I want you to stay calm and focus on the problem. When we can stay calm, when we can respond and not react, we actually engage the prefrontal cortex of our brains, the logic piece of our brains. When we let emotion take over, there's been so many studies on brain science that show that our amygdala, that fight or flight mechanism in our bodies, we were designed to handle stress and to be able to communicate in a way that's going to protect us in certain situations. But what happens is we allow that to override the logic piece. So stay calm. And then focus on the problem at hand. And that means don't bring up all the other things that this person has done. I know I can do that so easily, especially with those that I know really well and love really well, like my husband. And I can say, but you did this and this and this. That is not helpful. And that's actually not showing much forgiveness on my part as well on past conversations. So really focus on the situation, on the circumstance that you're actually addressing in the moment. So those are the 5 things. I hope that maybe you've understood what I've been saying. So don't avoid it. Reframe it. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Clarity is kindness, and then stay calm and focus on the problem. So I want to tell you a little bit about behavioral styles and how we handle conflict. So first of all, some of us tend to assert ourselves in conflict, and then about 50% of us tend to suppress. Also, about half of the population really goes at problems from an detailed information, all of the facts kind of by the book, where the other half of us focus on our feelings. So when we get together, the opportunity for disconnect is right before us because we have such differing of opinions and preferences and tendencies. Again, some of us are assertive, some of us tend to suppress, some of us focus on logic, others focus on feelings, some of us want to win at all costs. You create this win-lose. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong, by golly, you're going to know it. That is not healthy conflict and healthy, productive conversation. So being able to be aware, I go here, or my tendency is just to shut down, be more passive aggressive, or just go into all my hurt feelings. Those are not productive places. So being able to listen, to understand what triggers you, to be able to rise above all of that that's going on and look for the opportunities to learn something. Just recently, my husband and I were having a conversation, and he was pointing out something to me that I was totally oblivious to. I was not aware, and he began to tell me how I was really, in this particular instance, not respecting someone else's time. And in my mind, I was like, I only took like 5 minutes. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, that was 20 minutes. And I said, really? And I kind of got defensive, and I was not wanting to listen. And then I just paused and I was like, okay, I'm open. I want to listen. But my first response was to put up those, no, I'm right, you're wrong. But if we can pause, remember 6 seconds is what it takes for emotions to go through our body So if we can just pause, it feels like a long time. I promise you it does. But then if you can get onto the other side of that and really lean into listening, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to learn from this. I want to grow in self-awareness. I want to be able to address conflict in a very healthy, productive way, and you can do it. I hope you've learned something today. Thanks for joining me on the Help for Leaders podcast. Tune in next week for another episode. Thank you for joining us today. You have the potential to communicate, engage, and lead with significant impact, and my goal is to help you do just that. Whether you're trying to get that next big promotion, scale your small business, or manage a team of thousands, there's always room for growth, and I can help you get there. Go to disc-report.com and find out what style of leader you are by downloading my free ebook on communication. Until next time, lead well and prosper.